Hey guys, Viggoman here and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a little different because when you're watching this, I've already released a video where all of this area here is completed. But the reason why I'm kind of here in the past, does that make sense? Like in between the videos? I don't really know how that would work, but I'm recording before the next video, which will be the previous video. You get the idea, guys. You're not stupid, I hope. Now, the reason that I am here now with a different kind of video is because I've been working on quite a lot of farmlands and stuff like that for the next episode of Osterham, and I just got the idea that doing farms is super tedious, especially if you're doing them by hand. But over the years, I've been playing Minecraft for, I think it's 12 years now, and maybe 13, I don't know, for way too long. I've learned some tips and tricks on how to do farmlands more efficiently. So I figured, why not just like give you guys some of that idea in a separated sort of video, so you guys can take some tips and improve, or at least speed up the building of the farmlands of your builds. I'm gonna do this using the Conquest Reforged mod, but you don't need that. But you do, however, need World Edit for this to work. So first off, I want to show you how to do this with straight lines, so there's no diagonals and stuff, because that's definitely easier than doing diagonal fields like we have over here. So we're going to start with that just so we understand the concepts, and then we're going to do it a little bit more complex and a little bit more difficult later on in the video, and I will show you some tips and tricks on how to do it on different angles to really make the farmland look realistic and dynamic. But to start off, we're gonna need a lot of wool, because it's, at least for me, it's easier to like lay out shapes and get stuff sorted using wool, and then we can go back in with World Edit later and replace it to the blocks we want, just because we don't really mess up the landscape too much. It's easier to undo what we already have, okay? So the first thing you want to do is to use some wool. I'm using green wool here. Of course, you can do whatever. You don't even have to use wool. You can use, I don't know, glowstone. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. But really, just mark out an area where you want your field to be. So I've chosen this area here, next to the river and next to the road right here. Then what you want to do is you're going to have a wand, and we're just going to like use a World Edit to make the lines you can see in the field here, like that. So really simple. You're going to choose the width of how wide you want the strips of like, I'm no farmer, so I don't know all the terms here, but for these lines here. So basically you'll like step out a little bit from the edge, so let's say here, and we'll do 1 2 3 4 5. So that's the width I'm going to be going for here. And basically you just take one corner here, and then you just follow this line here. The first one is a little tricky because you can mess this up. You're gonna go over here to the back, like that, and since this is a little elevated, we're gonna just like click that, and now we have like covered this area here. And very simply, we're just going to replace 2, which is grass, with yellow, and just like that, we have made one strip. And once you have the first strip in, it's easier, because now we can just kind of offset it by this one. So let's say we want to have 2 in between, I guess. And 1 2 3 4 5 again. We click the corner, we fly over here, we're up here, we step 2 over this side here, and just like that, we have another one of these strips. So let's go ahead and just fill this entire field here with these yellow strips. So now that we have all these yellow strips in our field here, what I like to do is to change the color and texture of the lines in between, so the grass, because I don't want to have grass there, but I also don't want it to be the same texture as the yellow lines. So what I go now, I use a brush like this, and you're just going to do brush sphere, which is like a ball shape, if you don't know, a sphere shape. And I usually do 35-1 or orange. I'm used to the old ID system, but basically do that, and yeah, I tend to bring it up a little bit in shape or size, just so it's easier. And then we're going to mask that to 2. Once we have masked that to 2, it's only going to apply this brush here to the grass. So we're just gonna go around here, and what I'd like to do is to not like completely go to the edges unless you're like in a very tight space, because it's going to give like a nice sort of gradient from the field into this border, which in my example here it's going to be like bushes, but you could have railings or fences or whatever. So then we just like fly over here and we fill it in with orange. And just like that, we have some nice orange lines as well. And now what I want to do is to add something on top of the yellow thing, and that's going to be the actual crop that's going to be growing in the field. So what we do now is we do another brush. So we do brush, sphere again. You could do cylinders, I think, but I'm just using spheres because, yeah, I'm used to that. 3514, which is red, or you could just type red, whatever. And then we mask that to this one. Not everyone is have heard of this, but you can actually like type relations. So we're doing like bigger than yellow. That means for coordinates that are higher up than yellow. So if I now place, we only cover the area that's above the yellow lines. And actually what you could do is to bring up the scale a little bit here, just so it's easier. Then I just run over here and fill these in like that with red. And once we have all this wool here in, we can start texturing, and by that I mean replacing the wool with the blocks that we want. One thing you could also do, I don't like to do that, but some people don't like to have like this overgrown grass on top of the middle sections. And if you want to change that, just a quick tip is another brush, sphere 0, and let's scale it up a little bit, and then mask that to over 35.1 or orange, and then just run over like that, and you can remove all of the I'm just going to undo that because I want it there, but you can simply remove all of the grass that's above the orange if you want that. Really simple. A great tip is to always like be confident or learn how to use the brushes and stuff like that, because it can really save you some time. Anyway, what we're going to do now is, as I said, to replace the wool with the blocks that we want. So just taking one corner there and then mark another corner on the opposite side like that. So you have we have marked this entire area here. And for this one, again, I'm using Conquest Reforged just because that's a project I'm working on. You can just do normal Minecraft stuff if you want to. But yeah, let's do wheat. I'm going to just do normal wheat, I think. Yeah. So we do replace red with Conquest wheat, like that. And again, you can do whatever block you want. And then you set the age. So if you want to be like a yellow or I guess tan looking field, you do age 7, or if you wanted to be a newly grown one, you do age like 1 or something smaller than 7. And just like that, we have this nice wheat growing on our field. And then I like to then replace the yellow part, whoops, like that. And I'm gonna use again Conquest block, but I'm gonna use the directional farmland. Because that looks like a nice plowed like dirt. And then for the orange, just replace orange with Conquest, and I use mossy sandstone debris. In Minecraft you could definitely do like some coarse dirt or something like that to change it up. And just like that, we actually have a nice looking field. One thing I also want to do is then to replace the border with vegetation, or leaves like that, bushes. So replace the green like that, and I'm going to use a different set of leaves. So we have goat willow leaves, we have Conquest, I'm using dark beech tree leaves, and then normal oak leaves, just like that. That's the combination I'm using for this area here. And just like that, we have a quick field, and it only took me a couple of minutes. By the way, guys, if you like this spontaneously tutorials, please do let me know. I might do more as I kind of work on projects. I see things that maybe people would like to know this. So if you want more of that sort of video, just let me know, and I will definitely upload them whenever I come across some small things here and there that I figure maybe you guys would like to see as well. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to do a diagonal looking field now. And for that, I'm going to use this area over here. And as you can see, I've already like placed out some dividers here to divide the different fields. And again, what you're going to need to do is to have some wool on you. And I'm thinking I'm going to follow this line here. So basically what I'm going to do is from this area here, I'm going to go out, let's say 3. And I'm going to make that and like that. 4 wide, and again just kind of following somewhat of a diagonal here. It doesn't really matter because once you do the world edit on a larger scale, it's gonna all like fix itself somehow. But basically what we need to remember now, from here we have one of these blocks and we go out 3 and then we place 2 and then 2. So we go up here to the top, take this one here, we go out 3, 1, 2 and 1, 2. And now comes something that is really tricky for some people, because a lot of people don't even know this. There are different selection modes for World Edit. And most people just use the cuboid one, which is you mark 2 corners and then you can do stuff within those corners. But you're actually able to add multiple corners or points to create more unique World Edit shapes. So what we're going to do is to type cell and then space. And normally you use cuboid, but if you go down you can use poly, and by poly we now have multiple selection areas. So you mark this corner here with your left click, and then you're going to right click on all the upcoming points. So we right click here, we fly over to this place over here, we right click and right click, and now we have created a diagonal rectangle in a way. So if we now do replace 2 with yellow, you can see we have created this perfect line. And it's actually really simple. And it's a nice way of creating bigger shapes that are not on like the typical Minecraft grid. So now I'm going to go ahead and just add a couple more of these, filling up this field here, and then I'll come right back to you. And a little bit later, I have covered all of these area here with yellow lines. And as you can see, I decided to go for a mix here. So we have some of these that are like 45 degree, meaning like, yeah, so you can see like this, yeah, 45 degree angles. And then we have these which are more like 25 and a half, 22 and a half, I mean, I don't know. But you get the idea. So we have some different kind of lines here. And basically, again, same as previous, brush, sphere, and then do a little bit big, whoops, and then mask that to cross. And then we just fill in the area around these lines here, and then we're just going to repeat the process, because once we have the yellow lines in place, everything is the same really. So that's why, as I've said, I always like to use World Edit to just kind of get the lines, get the shapes up, because it's so much easier to work with once you have the shapes correctly. And that goes for both buildings and stuff as well. Just working on getting the shapes and stuff correctly before you start adding the textures and adding, in this case, like the crops and stuff. It's really saving me a lot of time. So once we have all of that covered, we go in, we do brush, sphere, red, mask that on top of orange, and we just, whoops, nope, that's wrong. Yeah, even I do a mistake sometimes. Brush, sphere, red, and let's go a little bit big, and then mask that to above yellow. That's the one. Yeah. And I'm just going to cover that, and as I've said, just repeat the process from the field we did over there. So one thing you have to keep in mind when you're working with diagonal fields is, since you have preferably set your selection mode to poly, you need to like set it back to cuboid to be able to do normal World Edit later on. So I just want to let you know that if you struggle with kind of getting a selection here, as I just did maybe like a minute ago, you just have to make sure you are on selection mode poly, and then just like that. And always really tricky to yeah, find the correct area to mark, because it's the diagonals really messes with my brain. But maybe, yeah, there we go. So basically just use world edit. Oh man, we forgot these as well. But yeah, just use world edit to replace all of this. So there you have it, guys, a quick spontaneous tutorial on how to at least do Farmlands easier. If you want to have more details, you will have to go in like manually and add stuff. So I'd recommend like working especially on the first rows of the farmlands, like here, add some fences and maybe smooth out these areas here because they look really rough. So since I'm using Conquest Reforged, I'd add some slabs or layers here to make it look better and like work with the small details here. But in the grand scheme of things, just using this technique here can save you a lot of time, because yeah, people don't really notice how rough the world edit might be on like these upper edges here. So for larger fields, it's definitely worth doing. But personally, when I do smaller fields, let me see if I can find some. I think we have some over here. Yeah, here, like this one here. I always do more detailing because they're smaller and it's more probable that you're going to be walking here and looking at it. So here I'm doing layers and adding more like personal touches to it. But for larger fields, I'm just using world edit just because I don't have time to go in and add every single crop manually and give it personal touch to every single block. So for me it works. Let me know down below, guys, what you think of this technique here, and if you have other things you'd like me to cover. And again, if you want me to do more of these spontaneous tutorial videos. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Really do hope that you enjoyed. If so, make sure to smack the like button. And if you haven't done already, make sure to subscribe. It's been Viggoman, and I'm out.